Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sangoma's webinar around UC for Education. For those of you who do come to our webinars quite regularly, you know we have to give you a quick weather update from our head office in Wokingham. Unfortunately, today is cold, rainy and miserable. However, hopefully this presentation won't be. So I'd like to welcome myself and Simon, who you'll hear from in a moment. Head of Marketing for Sangoma internationally. So on the agenda today, we have a little bit of, I'll just wait for Simon, thank you. We've got a little bit of a background history lesson, very brief. We're not sending you back to school. And then we'll have a look at the benefits of Sangoma for Education, a quick company overview for those of you who don't know Sangoma, an insight into the solutions we cover through, a little bit about the ISDN switch off for those of you who are not aware what's going on there, how Switchbox can help for schools, and a quick summary, and obviously then we're open to Q&A. On that note, please don't forget to submit any questions you've got in the webinar toolbar, and we are recording this and we can send a copy of the presentation to anyone who wants. Now, on that note, I will hand over to Simon Horton, our VP of Sales for International.
Nice one, thank you, Shan. And I am going to start with a little history lesson, as Shan said. Firstly, to introduce the traditional PBX, and I tried to find a photo that represented some old school telephony equipment, and that's on the right hand side. But of course, the traditional PBX has been around for decades, hasn't really changed. It's of course limited to voice only, so you can make and receive calls, you can leave and listen to voicemail, you might be able to do a transfer or a call forward, but it is very, very voice focused. Pretty much uses copper. Or ISDN, if for those guys out there know what ISDN is. And of course, the ISDN network it's getting turned off. Shan alluded to that, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the presentation. It's always on premise, and anything on premise therefore needs maintaining. You've got to pay someone to come in and look after this stuff. So the way this is all going is into Unified Comms, Unified Communications, or UC. And what Unified Communications does is it takes that voice, but it integrates it with video, with instant messaging, so like kind of like WhatsApp messaging to give a context there. You can share presence and you can share content. So you can do screen sharing, you can share files. It also enables what we call mobility, which means you can take your desk phone or your desk effectively anywhere and work from Costa Coffee or the beach or wherever you happen to be. You don't have to give out your mobile number. We'll talk about this later. So you can take your phone extension anywhere. You get, of course, the collaboration. And instead of having all of that gear on premise, it's all typically in the cloud. So there's no upfront costs. There's no need to have people to come in to maintain this system. It's very easy to live with. So that is kind of the beginning and the end of the lesson here. Let us now talk about how Sangoma can benefit you, the school, in education. And I've got a few topics to kind of go over here. The first one of them is cost-effective communications, saving money. And we've seen, you can see that quote at the bottom there. We have examples of schools that have saved money. It's typically much cheaper to take a UC cloud system than it is to pay for your traditional phone system. Typically because the ISDN link or the copper link you have to the outside is very expensive. You have to pay a line rental and you have to pay for calls. When you move to a UC system, typically that line rental portion disappears and your costs go down dramatically. And of course, with moving to a UC platform, you get UC solutions. So as I said earlier, you can integrate voice, video, messaging, collaboration tools, which means that everybody in the school can communicate with each other way more effectively. So whether it's a student, teachers themselves, or the teachers talking to the IT staff, or the senior leaders inside the school. The other super important thing, which we'll mention a couple of times, is mobility. And what we mean by mobility is the school staff can work from anywhere, of course, if it's appropriate. And the really nice thing here is with the mobile app, so you download an app onto your mobile phone, and what that means is when your desk phone rings or your classroom phone rings, your mobile app will also light up and ring as well. So somebody dials the extension for your classroom or the extension for your personal, your desk phone rings if you have a desk in the classroom on the phone, but your mobile app rings as well. So you can pick up the call from wherever you happen to be. The cool thing about that is you don't have to give your personal mobile number out to, say, your colleagues or even the parents, which is really nice. So if you're taking a class outside to go, teach them in the field because it's a lovely sunny day, you'll still get, if the headmistress wants to talk to you, you'll still get that call on your mobile app. So very, very handy for mobility. Of course, it's super important for there to be a constant stream of communication between parents and teachers. And what we see is that teachers are really excited to use the UC tools to keep parents informed about the progress of their child. So like example, on parents' evening, they can use, like my kids now, all of their parents' evenings are virtual. So we either use typically a video meeting, but it could also be a voice conference. And so all of those voice or video conferences can happen wherever the teacher wants to be. So they could be at home, not necessarily in the classroom itself. And the cool thing is, because of all of those calls go via the UC platform, they can be recorded. So if a parent goes, well, you didn't tell me that, you can go back to that call recording and say, well, yes, I did. Here it is in the call recording. So that's really cool and a really nice feature of using unified communications. On the collaboration tools side, video conferencing, we're seeing a big take up of video conferencing inside schools for remote learning. We all saw the nightmare that we had during the pandemic, but even outside of that, there's times when schools need to close, and we're seeing a big take up of the video conferencing for virtual meetings, virtual classrooms, online collaboration, webinars, seminars. And the video conferencing from Sangoma is really easy to set up. It can be integrated with other tools. It just works on the browser. And of course, the teacher can be based anywhere they need to be to deliver that video conference. And finally, security. So security is always top of mind for Sangoma, and of course that's absolutely non-negotiable in a school setting. We know that our communications are secure, so it's not possible to tap or record or do malicious things with the communications. The system itself is also very secure, so we know that no one's going to be able to go in there and tamper with the settings or steal your minutes or anything like that, right? So everything is fully secure, and of course that's prime importance in the education sector. So that's kind of my benefit slides. Let's go in and talk a little bit more about Sangoma and our solutions themselves. So who are Sangoma? Who is Sangoma? We are a global provider of communication systems and products kind of centered around the UCaaS, the Unified Communications as a Service. And we typically offer feature-rich solutions at a pretty competitive price. So if you look at us versus our competition, we'll always be competitive on price. And we really try to ensure our customers have a completely flawless experience. So our systems are very reliable. They're always available. We like to give a full suite of services, so everything from top to bottom. We have a very wide portfolio. So there's not many things on the telecoms or UC side that we can't solve one way or another. And of course, we're always here to advise and kind of make sure that you make the right choice. And because you're buying everything from a single vendor with our wide portfolio, it's one hand to shake for support, ordering, integration. So that makes us a really unique partner to deal with. And really, that's what this slide talks a little bit more about. It's about choice. So you can deploy solutions, UC solutions, how you want. You could take, to go a little bit more technical for a minute, you can take our UC solutions hosted by us as a cloud service. You can take them and install them on site as on-premise. You can virtualize them on site or in a data center as software, or you can use a mix of all of the three before and call that hybrid. The other choices that we have is to rent or lease hardware instead of purchasing. So instead of having a big upfront bill for, say, the 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 phones that you need in a school, you can rent or lease those phones instead. So you convert it from a capital expense to an operational expense. And of course, once you have something that's OPEX and you're paying monthly for it, it just makes the whole obsolescence, if that should happen, or any breakage, any warranty, any support, is just on an ongoing basis. And we do that with phones. We have a range of headsets. So if that plug into phones or plug into desktops or laptops, if you want to use our mobile or desktop apps instead of a hard IP phone. So the UC system that we advocate most for schools is called Switchbox, and it's a full-featured unified communications platform. It's kind of engineered for small to medium organizations, and by that I mean up to kind of 300-400 seats, but we're really strong in the 20 to 100 seat market, which is perfectly aimed for schools. As I said earlier, it's cost effective, but very feature rich. The really nice thing is all features are included for every user, so you don't have to pick and choose from a very long menu of functions and features. Everything is included, so you can turn on features as you need for any user in the system. And that means things like mobile phone apps, so every user gets the app, gets the possibility to use the app on their mobile. Every user gets the possibility to use an app, a program on their PC or Mac desktop or laptop. You can go in, you can look at dashboards, you can look at wall boards. So supervisors, call center managers isn't very relevant at school, but supervisors can go and see how many queues or how many people are waiting to speak to someone in the school, how many calls are not being answered, all of that good stuff that you typically associate with a contact center. But that's part of Switchbox. So if you want to deploy that feature-rich contact center to give your parents a better experience when they're calling in, then that's absolutely capable with Switchbox. You don't have to pay any more for it. And of course, we offer 24/7 support as required. We'll get to a little bit more detail on the Teams integration in a later slide. But before I talk about Teams, I want to talk about our Sangoma P series IP phones. So these are IP phones that you would buy or rent and stick on a desk or in a classroom. The good thing here is we have a wide range of IP phones. So the phone in the bottom right of your screen is called the P370. That's a really nice touch screen Android-based phone. You probably wouldn't want to put that in a classroom where the kids can get a hold of it. You probably want to use something like the P310 or the P315, which is a little more cost effective and maybe a little bit more robust than that nice, lovely touch screen. But the cool thing is they're very tightly integrated with Switchbox. So you get some really nice features and functions on the phone that you wouldn't normally get where if you went to a third party, a different brand of phone. So you can see voicemails, you can do call recordings, you can do call parking, all that good stuff natively, very intuitively on the phone itself. We support true zero touch provisioning. So we have a lot of customers who just send the phones out, they plug it in and it just works. Hot desking is super cool. So hot desking means you can just walk up to any phone, log in with your extension and your password, and that phone then takes on the persona of you. So if you have teachers that are swapping classrooms, and then they make a call out, instead of the classroom making the call out, it's the teacher themselves making the call out, which I think is super important. The next couple of bullets there are things that I don't think many people know, but you can use the P phones as an intercom or as a tannoy. So an intercom, if you're busy dealing with maybe there's an emergency situation, you're busy dealing with a student or a pupil, you can be talking to the school staff or talking to the emergency services whilst helping out that pupil as an intercom. You can also do a tannoy. So if you need to make an announcement, hey, little Johnny, can you come to the headmaster's office? You can do that on a tannoy. You can even use the tannoy as a school bell system. So you just play a bell noise through the tannoy, and you can schedule that with the calendar. So you can use, instead of having to have a separate speaker system or separate tannoy, you can use the P phones that are in every one of the classroom. And as I mentioned earlier, you can rent our phones on 1 year or 3 year plans. I've talked a little bit about video meetings. Our product in this space is called Sangoma Meet, and it's a pretty cool video conferencing service which supports call recording, supports desktop sharing. It's a cloud-based service. You can launch the meeting very easily from any browser. I use this multiple times a day internally from Chrome, and it just works. There's also a set of mobile apps which work for iOS and Android. It's tightly, like everything else we do, of course, we tightly integrate it. So it's tightly integrated with our chat function. So if you're chatting away to a colleague, you can easily elevate that call up to a video meeting as you need to. It's got built-in scheduling, so you can schedule a meeting using Sangoma Meet with Google Calendar or Microsoft's Office 365. And of course, again, fully secure. It's a fully secure service, it has to be. So Sangoma Meet, very cool. I use it every day. It's absolutely flawless. Microsoft Teams. We have an integration with Microsoft Teams, so you can fully integrate Switchbox with Teams. And what that means is that Teams becomes like an extension of Switchbox, effectively. So you can make and receive calls on the Teams app, the Teams soft phone. But those calls may or may not be coming in and out through Switchbox. So you can make use of an existing, what we call a SIP trunk to make calls in and out. You can dial out to the network. If you need to dial a parent from the Teams app, their mobile number, you can just dial it straight on the app, and that will just route through. So it's very cool, right? It's a very tight integration with Teams. I know that a lot of schools out there get preferential rates on Microsoft Teams, and you're thinking, how am I going to integrate that with a different telephony system? Well, it's very easily done with Sangoma. All right, the ISDN switch off, which I'm hoping is something that I'm not teaching you about, you already know about, but just in case, what is the ISDN switch off? So ISDN is the technology that we used for 50 years or something to connect PBXs or on-premise telephony systems out to the network. It's pretty much based on a copper line that's dug into the ground, so it's pretty 20th century thinking, right? And what BT announced 3 years ago now, back in 2020, was that they were going to switch off the ISDN network. And actually end of sale, so you can't buy a new, as of September this year, so just last month, you cannot any longer buy a new ISDN network. So whatever's out there now, they're still supporting, but you can't buy a new one. By 2025, the ones that are in the ground and running today will be end of life. So if you're using ISDN today, you have to do something by 2025. So you've got a year and a bit to do something. And there are millions of ISDN channels out there that need to be migrated to something, and migrating to a unified communications or a SIP of voice over IP technology is the way around this. We personally don't think there's enough awareness from government or Ofcom, which is the governing body for telephony services. We don't think there's enough about this. So we're part of this Fit to Switch, which we're lobbying the government, we're lobbying Ofcom to help guys out there like schools figure out what they can do. And what you can do, we have kind of 4 options for how do you get around this ISDN turn-off problem. And each of these is available from Sangoma. We don't ever force a decision on you. We're always very open. We'll advise you on the best course of action that will work best for you. And the 4 things you can do is move to a full cloud solution, which is kind of what a lot of customers out there do. You typically require new phones. You get all of the calls bundled in a single monthly cost. It's a cloud system, so there's no maintenance fees. People don't need to come and maintain the system that's in your school. Second option is to keep what you have today, but instead of using an ISDN gateway, you put something called a VoIP. Instead of using an ISDN connection, you put something called a VoIP gateway in front of your PBX, and that is effectively a converter, and it converts ISDN into something called a SIP trunk. We also have SIP trunks in our portfolio, so it basically moves the calls away from ISDN and onto a data kind of broadband internet connection. Of course, with Sangoma, you can move to a new on-premise solution. Maybe you don't like the idea of voice. There's some reason that you don't want a cloud-based solution, so you want to keep your PBX, your UC platform on-premise. We can do that. We can install it as software or hardware. Again, you'd need some new phones. You'd need a SIP trunk to make the calls out because you can't use ISDN anymore. So there's some hoops to jump through, but that's definitely a possibility. And we have a lot of customers out there doing just that. Or maybe you've got not just a single school, but it's an academy or a trust with multiple schools in a trust, and maybe option 1 is good for one school, or an option 3 is good for another, and option 2 is maybe another. So you need to mix and match, and we can mix and match using a hybrid solution. Maybe you want to tread slowly and move one school at a time, but yeah, we can make sure that all those schools can communicate very, very well with each other with seamless interaction. So yeah, I guess my message here is, as the blue box says, we're here to help. We're very happy. We've got decades of experience in the UK. We can advise on the best choice for you. We live and breathe this every day. We have customers out there doing this every day, so we're very happy to help you. Now, I think you've probably heard me wittering or talking for long enough. I'm going to hand back to Shan, if Shan is out there to walk you through the next few slides and finish up. Over to you, Shan.
Thanks, so that they can listen to me witter for a little while.
Yeah,
thanks for that, Simon. We've covered a little bit, or Simon's covered a bit of what Switchbox can do for schools. I'm just going to spend a few minutes looking at how it helps individual sets of people. So if we look at teachers and educators, and by that I mean, whether it's TAs or lunchtime staff, anyone who's there frontline in schools is where I'd term them. The important one is that you are connected regardless of where you are. So, teachers don't sit still. The days of one classroom and that's it, you're not going to move for the whole day, is long gone. But they still need to be able to communicate from any position. And we all know, it's not a 9 to 3:30 day as people think it is. They've got to be working from home, they're doing marking papers, they've got to do calls to parents and vice versa. I know personally with a couple of kids how much the teachers do. One of the things is, and Simon picked up on this, but I've got personal experience from this, is not giving out your personal mobile number as a teacher. My son's teacher had to call me last week about something, and she called me from her own mobile, but blocked the number quite rightly. My mobile therefore rejected a call because it was a blocked number, and I got a voicemail from her, and I was like, oh, it had it wrong. So with something like this, yeah, she can absolutely use her own phone, but it would just come through the school system. And for me, it would just come up with the school's name. So obviously I'd accept the call. Little things like that just make life easier for everyone. And, for both sets, where you're communicating from. Um, your colleagues can know where you are if you've had to leave the classroom and you've got to cover a different class. Your presence and status is easily communicated through that. Simon talked about Sangoma Me. Again, it's great to interface with parents if you actually want to see each other rather than just a voice call. And yeah, we know we've got the conference rooms all integrated with Outlook, Gmail, any other email package you're using. And the teacher can just literally go through their contacts and click on the number and off you go and call them. And I would say one of the most important things for schools is you can keep records with call recording. Unfortunately, there's a lot of accountability, and therefore just click a button, record a call, and you've just got the backup from there. So that's, hopefully makes life much easier for the frontline people. And the next group of people I want to address is the school administrators, or front office, back office, as you would call them. Efficiency is a big word out there, and anything we can do to help make that life easier for the administrators, we will do. Little things that Switchbox can do is enable things like, just click to dial, drag and drop a transfer, and you can see the messages. One of the nice things is you can have custom greetings and messaging with Switchbox. So if someone calls the school, you can say, actually, I'm sorry, today is an inset day, the school is closed, or any other, we're often off-site, or just general meanings of welcome to our school. Excuse me. One of the cooler things I think we've got is you get to know who's calling and maybe an idea as to why. So Switchbox will integrate with your school's code system. So you've got a list of parents' numbers and names and details. And as a call comes through, you'll get a pop-up message saying, Joe Blogg's mum's on the phone. These are the details. And you may have an idea that, there's medical appointments the child needs to go to, or there's an annual review, anything. And you've got that bit of information ahead of talking to the person, which makes them feel really welcome, that you actually know who they are and what it's about, and makes them feel unique and special. Simon talked about the safety and security, which is forefront for us on the cameras. And we've got the desk phone cameras, and again with the tannoy systems, that will really make life easier for the administrators. Really easy to send the stuff. And I think the most important one there is the broadcast emergency alerts. As you said, if you're coping with a medical emergency, you can be talking on the phone, addressing that, and going through there. And the last group of people I want to address, and I'm not saying they're all equally important, is the IT support staff. Now, schools don't often have dedicated IT staff. Some of the bigger ones may well do, but there's a lot for them to manage. And with Switchbox, it's easy. It's a web-based application. You do not need to be a coder. It can be administered by anyone. It's a single computer just connected to the network. You can change the permissions for which groups of people get which features. I think, as Simon said, all features are included free for every user. So you don't have to worry about, I've got 10 people who've got access to call recording. I can't give it to someone else because it's going to cost us. It's not going to cost you a penny extra. As he said, that's all included. The other thing that's really important is how it integrates to your existing infrastructure. So you're going to have a lot of IT systems, some school-based, Teams we've mentioned, whether you've got Chrome, everything else. Switchbox is built very openly and will integrate with whatever you need it to. And the second one is, if you do have the multiple buildings or campuses, it will act as one large system. So if you want to call from building A to building B, that's turned as an internal call to us, and we're not going to charge you to call from one building to the next. And as I say, it's a great solution. We've got a lot of schools using it, and hopefully we can cover anything you need from there. And basically, we're, in summary, what I'd say, if Sam can catch up with me, thank you. Challenges. We're both of us have sat here and told you how wonderful and fantastic it is. We're open to us challenging you. And bring us your bill, tell us what you need, and we'll be in it. And if we can't, we'll send you a Costa gift card. If we can, we'll give you the gift card and the solution. Sorry, I've just spent your money there, Simon. Moving to UC, it's got real advantages for your school, and it will really make life easier for everyone. Sangoma's been around since 1984. We're stable, and we consider ourselves really easy to do business with. As far as we're concerned, the choice is yours, not ours. We've got options for everything, so we can provide you with the advice, and you can decide what's best for you. We'll never force you down one route or another, because each school is different, and what you need is different. And we feel our products are rock solid because we build them, we create them, and we build them. Therefore, we know they're not going to let you down. And ultimately, we're here to help you. And on that note, if we've got a few questions come up, let me just pull those up, Simon, and we can. Oh, I've lost my question screen. Okay, so the first one is, you mentioned hot desking. What do you mean? Sorry, on hot desking on the phones. The question is, yeah, I understand about hot desking was a PC, but what do you mean about phones?
Okay, so hot desking, you can configure a phone, instead of the phone being hard configured to always be associated with a particular teacher, you can set it up so that the teacher comes along and logs into that particular phone. So if teachers are moving from different classrooms, the teacher leaving can log out of the phone, and the teacher coming in can log into the phone. So when they make a call out, rather than it being the kind of classroom phone that's making the call out, it will be made out from that particular teacher. So if they're calling, say, the senior leadership team or the headmistress or something, they will know that it's that particular teacher, that individual teacher calling, not just the classroom. So they'll already know what to expect. And the same when they call out to parents, the parents will know particularly who that is. So I think hot desking, when we've seen it used a lot, has a really significant play inside schools.
No, that sounds really cool. Next one, which is interesting, I never sort of lived in schools, but obviously, schools will need lifts. We've got an emergency phone in our lift. What do we do about that? Will that stop working?
It would stop working, but I did mention we have a solution for most things, and that's one of those things. Yeah, we have a ready-made solution for that. So yeah, you would need, most lift phones are kind of old school analog phones, and we have something that would convert that, sit behind it and convert it to be able to talk to our unified communications platform. So for sure we can. I could go into mega detail here, but I'm not going to.
No, don't. I know you.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of one of my pet subjects, as you know.
Exactly.
So yeah, we can figure that out, and the same applies for things like door entry phones, and maybe on larger schools if you've got phones that are remote from the school itself. We can handle all of that stuff. It's kind of bread and butter to us. May seem hard to people on the call, but it's bread and butter for us. So yeah, talk to us. We can help you out.
Cool. You're gonna like this one. So you've just said I can save money by moving from ISDN now. Well, what do you mean I can save money, and
Hmm.
why is it going to cost me less if I'm buying a new solution?
I think I mentioned this. There's a
Yeah,
few things,
I,
right? Yeah,
I
go
guess
on.
it's clarifying it. I mean,
Yeah.
I would add to what you said is line rental's quite a lot, for
Mm,
your broadband a month, and obviously you're then paying for each call in and out. So, I mean, this is me marketing telling sales, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm
yeah,
guessing,
no, absolutely. If you buy a cloud system from Sangoma, we pay one fixed amount per user per month, and that includes there is no line rental cost like you'd have with ISDN, and it also includes a bunch of minutes. So typically, what we see, we've installed tons of schools right in the UK now,
yeah,
and we've barely bill anything. So each seat comes in a bundle of minutes. Just like if you buy a mobile contract, you can choose how many minutes you want. So our system comes in a bundle of minutes. And when I look through, the invoices we send out to schools, there's very rarely any charges that are outside of the minutes bundle. Perhaps some international calls, they're arranging a school trip or an exchange or something, but
yeah,
that's kind of out of the ordinary. And typically what we see is that the bill they get is just the monthly cost of the seat cost, and then maybe some phone rentals if they decided to take phones. So there's no, if you think about like a traditional PBX system, you might be paying a maintenance contract on that system. Then you might be paying BT or somebody like BT for the rental of the line. And then you're probably paying BT for every single call that you make out, because
exactly.
BT don't charge minutes. So all of that gets kind of rolled up in one really low cost, really simple to budget invoice from Sangoma
Yeah,
or one of our partners. So yeah, it's really much simpler.
yeah. I mean, and I think we should make that point clear is we only sell through what we term as our partners. However, if any of the schools out there come to us and tell us what you need, we will find the right partner for you, of the right Sangoma partner for you in your area, who can advise you, one, independently, and two, can come out and meet with you and do all the stuff. So at the moment, you don't purchase directly from us, but we will advise you as best we can, and we've got some fantastic partners who make all this stuff happen. So just to make that, just to let you guys
And,
know out
and,
there.
and that's definitely an advantage, and I'm just going to come in
Yeah.
on the back
Oh,
of
it's a
that. That's
huge advantage. Yeah.
definitely, because we're in Wokingham, as Shan said, in Berkshire, right? So if we get a school in Yorkshire, it's kind of hard. The school wants a local guy to come in, and maybe they need to train somebody, the receptionist, train them how to use the phone and how to get the best out of the system. Really hard for us to do out from Berkshire. So we find in my city example, we find a partner in Yorkshire, and we send those guys in, and they're experts, right? They're our right arm.
Yeah.
They know as much as we do. So these guys do a site survey. They figure out what you need. They can help you. We're always ready to help as well. We won't cut around them, but we're always there to help and
Yeah.
advise and support.
That's brilliant. So I'm just looking
And
through.
any other questions, or
Yeah,
are
we've
we through
covered
them?
most of them. I
Perfect.
guess the last one, which is yeah, do all the phones support the tannoy and broadcast?
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
all of the Sangoma P series phones. I think there's 6 of them in the range. They all support the tannoy and the intercom. So yeah, completely, it's standard across the range.
cool.
Which I think that tannoy and intercom, Shan, that comes
Yeah,
as a surprise to a lot of people,
it
right?
does.
It feels
Did to
dead
me,
obvious to
actually, to be
me.
fair.
Feels dead obvious to me, but I live and breathe it every day. But it's a really cool
Exactly.
feature that you don't need those speakers systems, separate systems anymore. It's all you can administer it from a single system. So I really like that. But then I'm a geek and I get excited about stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not a geek, and I got excited about that when you told me about it a little while ago. So, for the geek and the geek plus.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, no, I mean, if you can impress marketing, you're doing well.
exactly.
But I think that's mainly it. And what we say is just, if we haven't answered any of the questions, please feel free to email us, call us, anything you like. And now I think we will leave you with one that note is we do believe we've got a more cost-effective solution for everyone out there. And if you don't believe us, bring us your bill and let us beat it.
Exactly. Thanks everybody for, it's great to see so many people on this call, right? It's super exciting. So yeah, please get in contact if you need to, but thanks everybody for attending, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.